Dad and I left for Tihoe on Friday night. The highlight of the trip was McDonald's on the way. The next morning we woke up. The plan was to fly out and Chris would drop us into our hunting area. It was super exciting watching us lift off the ground and everything, since it was only the second time I had been in a helicopter. It was super cold and we had beanies and the sun rose up and it was so beautiful. We took lots of pictures. After about 10 minutes we had covered lots of ground and we landed in a clearing where Chris and Dad dropped me and Jazz off. The plan was for them to go up and drop our bags and everything into a little spot in the trees where we were gonna camp the next night. So after that, they came back and we headed off hunting. It was really exciting going hunting. It was my first time, and as we were walking away and just walking through, I thought I was going to be really bored, but I actually wasn't. You kind of focus on where your foot's going to be or where you're going to place your feet, and you kind of look around and you imagine, hearing something or seeing something, and it's really exciting and interesting. And it was super fun. And then we finally heard a hind buck, and it was so exciting, and I couldn't even, my chest was beating so hard and I was so excited. But it seemed to get further and further away, so after a while we just started walking normally again. We didn't hear anything else for the rest of that morning, but we got to the campsite and Jazz and Chris had already cleared a spot for where our camp was going to be. This is our setup.
Put the fire out with that. It's usually really wet, so you can wring it and get a drink out of it. It's pretty amazing considering. End of May, and you can.
And then headed out for our afternoon hunt. Let me tell you that it's been probably the most exciting days of my entire life. We heard so many pigs and deers. We heard deers roar, hinds bark, and it was so exciting because every single time you heard something or saw something, it was just you couldn't really feel your heart beating, but you could. It was so loud, and you just had to stay really quiet, and you couldn't even breathe because they might hear you. And yeah, it was just super exciting. We heard some pigs stomping away. And so we snuck up, and Dad saw something, and shot at it, and he got it. It was a little pig, and I was it was the most exciting thing ever.
Nice little fella. Hopefully not too much meat damaged. When they ran off, it wasn't a very good look, was it? It's oh.
Yeah. I thought we missed or something like that.
Yeah. It'd be a nice little roaster.
we were just walking along quietly because we've heard a lot of pig noises and deer noises, and then we just heard like these pigs chomping on food, and then we got a clear shot of one of them, which was kind of small. We shot him, and then halfway through gutting him, two more came along, and so I was like, Dad, it's over there. And he couldn't see it from when he was standing. But then it moved, and we could see its butt, and Dad moved a little bit to the left. Big one.
Fair size.
Where'd you get him?
Right there.
Oh, perfect shot. That's pretty good, Dad.
Alright, it's a bit better size, isn't he?
It's like double the size.
Okay,
Can't believe they came back.
well, I don't know if it was the same ones. I doubt it was.
Well, there was definitely two of them.
Yeah, the other one was a big brindle coloured one, round one.
We've got two in a row. Got good shots.
Yeah. Okay. You wait here.
This is the bigger one, and Dad's just grabbing the smaller one, which is springing over here. When we got back to camp, the fire was already started because Chris and Jazz were already back. We had some really nice pasta and sausages for dinner, along with marshmallows and Milo and some other snacks for dessert.
Good enough? Just enough room for marshmallows, have you?
Yep.
And Milo. Yeah, that's you.
Wow.
I made that for you.
You did? You actually?
We hopped into bed pretty early, around 7:30, because we were all quite tired, me probably the most. It's about 8 o'clock, 7:30, and we're about to head off on our last hunt. So we're going to go off on a hunt, we're going to come back, and then we're going to pack up, and then we're going to hunt back to where the helicopter is. So I had soup for breakfast. Dad had porridge, yucky porridge. We had a pretty good sleep. Dad had a good sleep. I didn't. Because our bed's on an angle, I kept sliding down. We heard some more deer bark at us and some roaring, but we didn't really come close to shooting anything. And then, bang, the gun went off, and I had a big fright because I had no idea what was going on. Where did we hit him?
In the neck.
Is he still alive?
No. Thanks, fella. Thank you. I thought it was a hind. Okay. Little staggy. Well,
Dad had managed to hear and pretty much see a deer, which was super exciting. I was away in my own fairy world while Dad had seen something. So he took a shot at it, and because his gun's aim was off, he missed it. But the deer ended up circling back around, and Dad got it the second time. Probably just grass. I cut open the pig's one, it was just full of grass.
grass.
Yeah, like it just looked like that. Like it looked like that. We hung the deer up to a tree when we found a nice clearing where the helicopter could hook up the deer. We got back and I had some soup, we had some Milo, we had some snacks before we started to head off again back to the helicopter.
Did you get any of the shells from any of the animals?
I think I've got most of them. I've got some of them.
I got one.
Here he is.
Oh wow, it looks a bit hard to fly in there. It's got what? The bags? Oh, yeah.
When we got to the helicopter, it was really gloomy and it was sort of spitting with rain. Chris went out and got our first load, which was all our packs and our bags and food. But then he came back down because the visibility was so bad that Dad had to go back up with him. Soon all the deer and the pigs were back and we were ready to tie them all up, including with our bags, and hop in the helicopter. It was pretty cold when we got back. Me and Jazz hung out with the cows. Dad was skinning all the animals, which I helped a little bit with that. I'm so lucky to have this opportunity hunting with my dad. To sum up the whole thing in one word, it would be amazing. Flying in the helicopter to get to our hunting spot, the layers of clothes we had to put on because it was so cold, trying to be quiet while hunting, making sure to put your foot in a certain place so you won't crack a stick to make some noise. And the best part, hearing animals. We heard pigs chomping on berries and deer barking and roaring. I really loved it and I hope to do this again.